Hey, I'm Donnie.
And I'm Joni.
And we're going to take the next few minutes and we're going to talk about something that you don't hear a lot. We're going to talk about eating disorders. Tell me a little bit about what you know about eating disorders, Joni.
Well, I know that it's not talked about very often.
Isn't that interesting?
I think, and we both, have found this to be true. It's not really common for someone to actually come in and that be the reason.
I have never had somebody come in for that, but it seems as time goes on, it usually comes up.
And I think many that I've heard, it's the embarrassment, it's the shame that comes along with it, which is interesting that there's so much shame that comes with it, even though a lot of times it's because they feel ashamed of like the body image.
Yeah, it starts at such a young age too. I read a statistic today that 10-year-old girls, 80% of 10-year-old girls are already believe that they're overweight.
Wow.
So at 10 years old, then what does that do when you become 15 and you become 20 and life goes on and then you go in to buy your clothes and all of a sudden you're in this section and this woman over here is in a different section or this guy is in this section.
Absolutely.
Yeah, what's that do to your mind?
Absolutely. And I think it's you stay shame-based and the whole idea of never being enough. Because of genetics, you're only going to get to a certain size until you go to a completely unhealthy route to get away from that.
Females are 3 times more likely to have eating disorders than males. And why do you think that is?
I think it's obviously definitely more sexualized for a woman's body image, more so than maybe for males or it used to be. I think we're trending a little bit upward in a way, just a little bit from that. I'm glad to see that, but we're not.
Most of that comes from self-image, though.
Sure.
Yeah, it's what do I look like when I look in the mirror? What do I see? And I've been counseling this young lady, and she's that big around, but she says things like my shoulders are too big or too wide, or I fill up a room.
And while it's hard to even imagine, understand, but truly this person does not see that in the mirror. Like that's not what they see. They see the too big of shoulders or their stomach is to this or their thighs are to that.
So how do we help them with that?
We have to create a safe space. And I think that's why it takes a while for that to actually come out. And I do know that there is a really close link between eating disorders and substance use disorders.
Yeah, and it's even tied to stress. There's stress eating, there's stress binging, there's all those different things. But I have found the most important thing is an outlet, some way where I can unpack this that I've been dealing with all alone. I have never told a soul that I have this problem, and now I have this avenue to let it out.
Yeah, and so many of them have said the sense of relief that comes from just saying it out loud to someone that I'm struggling. Now, it may not stop immediately, but the fact that they now have an ally in their corner.
And you can begin to talk about it, and you can begin to talk about triggers that they feel, what is coming on, what caused this to happen today. And so when they feel that, then they can say, oh, here it comes again.
Right.
Where before, it was just like they didn't even recognize it was happening until they were in the middle of it.
And learn other coping skills then, right? If that's been the one. And a lot of times eating disorders have a lot to do with the sense of having control, right? So there might even be a trauma history somewhere there in their childhood. And there's so many different things that could have happened beforehand along the way.
Well, with what you said, I mean, PTSD, it can be tied to an eating disorder too. That this thing comes up all of a sudden and there it is, and it creates this tension and this pressure in me that causes me to do the thing I don't even want to do.
And the risk is very real. I know that someone may not land in prison because of an eating disorder, right? But the health risks are very real. The brain needs calories, right? So we have neurological issues, we have gastrointestinal issues. We were not meant to be that thin. We were not meant to operate on that lower calorie deficit. And
I know as counselors and therapists, we talk about this a lot, but it always comes back to the same thing. You need to seek help.
Yes.
You need to talk to somebody.
Absolutely. And again, just having sat across from someone and them say how it feels to be able to share that. And I think that because of that was so important for us to share this topic today.
Absolutely.
So If you find that you are struggling with this topic or you know someone who is, please don't hesitate to reach out for help. There will be a link provided for you to be able to contact someone.
Thanks.